don't have any mechanism to collect emails. So
right.
There we go. Back to list.
Do Karen's deputy.
Oh, right. We're going to look up. I'm going to set filter. Hold on. Smith.
Smith.
And Brian.
Obviously, you need a little more to make sure you find people then.
Okay.
We've got an example of this over there.
Okay. Brian Smith.
And here's the point of this. There are two Brian J. Smiths. And that's why you have to have their birth dates, so that you can tell them apart when you look them up. Brian's not here because I had a nice joke. He does not look like he was born in 1986, but he also doesn't look like he was born in 1940. He's somewhere in between, and amazingly enough, 1957 is in fact Karen's deputy. But it's the reason our lists have to keep track of date of birth, and why then we'd rather have you look it up yourself on the various systems, although the people at the polling place and the political parties need to be able to distinguish which one you are. Suppose, for instance, Brian Smith calls headquarters for parties and says, I'd like a ride to the polls. Sometimes they're able to do that for them, but they want to make sure they got the right one so they know what polling place he goes to and where to pick him up. So it's important that they have this kind of information. It's the status over here. D is for the deleted or off voters. I don't have an example of an inactive, but they're on there as well.
And then, of course, it gives party affiliation. R is Republican, U is unaffiliated, D is Democratic.
And that would be important in a primary because only R's and D's can vote when there is a primary, because that's the way the system works. That wouldn't matter in November when anybody can vote who's registered and active.
Now, for the demographic, my mother, who doesn't have email, are you encouraging people, obviously, to call you?
Yes, and the press release has our phone number.
Right.
You all have that. They can certainly call us.
Between what hours?
Well, we're open all business hours, and on election day we open at 6 in the morning or sooner. So call in. We kind of hope that you get information as much as possible from other sources. When I first started in the 2008 presidential election, you literally had to wait and then grab the phone to be able to get an outside line to call somebody because there were so many people calling in. Obviously, that makes it very hard for us to run the election if too many people do that. That's why we need people to figure this out in advance and not wait till election. That's why it's important. I didn't introduce before, but obviously we have other famous personages here. Our esteemed town clerk. You all know them, so I'm not going to get crazy about it. I understand they're not participating. Do you have any questions? I have examples of these various printouts that we just did on the screen so that we could, of course, do it again for a while, but it's also there. You can see it. Sorry? Oh, very good. All this actual data that we get in is stored on the state voter system. We get it on our local one where we can put it out to the polling places and to the people by downloading it into the state system, from the state system into our system, and then it is put out over the internet by our very fine IT department so that it's available at the polls and otherwise. Of course, although I like to thank them, one of the reasons they do that is they used to have to print the information. There are 40,000 voters in Norwalk. It was 800 pages. You needed a list for every polling place, and then the parties got some, and we needed some in our office, and they really don't like printing 25,000 green bar pages. And this is much better anyway for finding people. So
plus, we can find people if they hyphenated their name or we have a misspelling. We can do a fuzzy search, and we can get all the information by typing in, as I demonstrated, just part of a person's name and narrow it down.
So this is something that I don't know that any other town has available like